Hey everybody, welcome back to another video with Gem Mint Masters. We finally have a PSA reveal to show on the channel. I think I've said this before on some of my last videos. We've got, I think, like 5 or 6 orders still at PSA. Even though they're, weeks, months apart, they seem to kind of still be coming back in bunches. So we have one here today, and we should have another one pretty soon after, and then possibly another one fairly soon after that. I would say probably 3 reveals within the next, 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I may have them back on the sooner side, but all of the, preparing and editing and everything to make sure these videos are ready to go with all the numbers just takes a little bit longer. So, I want to crank these out definitely as soon as I can, because I've certainly been, sitting in anticipation of these reveals because I haven't been able to do any for a while because PSA's crazy monstrous backlog. But it seems to be finally breaking through, at least for now. I'm sure some of the orders I submit now are going to take a while, but like I said, we got an order here. So, all right, we're going to go through this order. So here's the stack. I'm going to kind of cover it up here. I'm going to set this off to the side, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the orders that I took offers on this time first. This was a 23 card order. I ended up taking 5 offers, and then I brought 18 of the cards back. Those are the ones I was happy with, 18. And then the 5 were kind of what I would call outliers. Not horrible, but not great either. And I just felt like it was easier just to take the offer, not have to kind of mess around with it. So, I don't have the cards with me, obviously, so I'll put a screenshot up on the screen and just do a quick run through of those 5, and then we'll get to the live cards right after that. All right, so here we go. First card is going to be a 1992 Topps Gold Michael Jordan, number 3. I actually have another Topps Gold in this order, but this one I did take an offer on. This came back a PSA 8, and the offer was about $13. It was $13.20. So obviously a loss on that one. It's a cheap card, luckily. So it's, like a $3 to $5 card. This was actually part of a larger collection I had. So I really didn't have any cost into it, because I was able to sell off some of the stuff and before I even needed to worry about a cost on this. So this is probably best case scenario on a card like this, but obviously you want to get a 9 or 10, but we got an 8. So I just went ahead and took the L on that one and took the little bit that I knew I could get easily in a PSA 8. All right, next one is a 1993 Topps Gold Anthony Hardaway. I have 2 of these in this order. One of them I did actually end up keeping. This one that I took the offer on was a PSA 8, and the offer was $10.42. Weirdly enough, the other one I had in this order, which was a higher grade, got roughly the same offer from PSA, so I decided not to take that. I thought that was a little ridiculous. That different grade, same offer, was pretty odd to me, but a lot of times there isn't really any rhyme or reason to those offers. Just be careful when you're taking these offers. Make sure they make sense. I only took the ones that I thought were within kind of the, very close to the value, kind of factoring in any fees and stuff like that. And just, again, when it's like a lower grade, it's really hard to move it. All right, third one out of 5. We got a 1995 Collector's Choice Checklist Players Club number 210 Michael Jordan. Man, I was kind of bummed about this one. It looked really good when I sent it. At least I thought it did, but it came back a 7. So I don't really know what I missed on that one, but it didn't have any kind of whiting on corners or anything like that, and that was the biggest part. So I must have missed something. But the nice part is, in a PSA 7, I still got $15.29. I was a little surprised by that. I thought it would be a bit less because that was a card I picked up for a few bucks. So even in a PSA 7, not going too far into the red was was at least halfway decent. So, all right, number 4 out of these 5, we got a 1997 Skybox Z-Force Boss. I have another one in this order, so spoiler alert, it is a higher grade, so I did keep that one. This one came back a PSA 7, and I took the offer at $28.50 on that one. I just felt like, again, PSA 7, On some of these kind of older inserts like this, if you get an 8 or higher, you're pretty good at finding an audience that'll buy these. There are a ton of collectors out there that want 8s, 9s, and 10s. Mainly 8s and 9s, I would say, just because 10s are a lot more expensive and somewhat unattainable depending on the card. And you know, like I said, like an 8 is actually a pretty solid grade, but this one came back a 7, so I went ahead and took the offer. All right, and then the last one out of this bunch that we took offers on, I got a 1990 Fleer, number 26 base card, Michael Jordan. I do have another one of these in here as well. So, and I did keep that one, so you'll see that one was a little bit better than this one, but this was a PSA 6. So again, really tough card to move. I took a $9.38 offer on that one, which again, a little surprised to be honest, getting almost 10 bucks on a card that is a PSA 6. I don't really know what the heck I missed on that. When I look at that card, I really look at centering, and it looked good, and so clearly there was something that I missed. But yeah, so that is the 5 that we took offers on. We kept the other 18, like I said. I was happy with these, and I think you'll see some pretty decent results in this. So I will go ahead and get going through this rest of the stack, and here we go. All right, there were a few non-Michael Jordan cards in here, and the first one here is one of those. We got a Patrick Mahomes, kind of random, 2024 Prestige Heroes insert. This was actually in a small collection I bought off Facebook for like, I think I paid like $50 for a 2 or 3 row box. After going through it, there wasn't really that much in there that was that great, but this was probably one of the better cards. And I'm glad I submitted it. Got a PSA 10, so I think I should be pretty much break even on that box at this point with getting that one. So I'm happy with that result. These are such cool looking cards. It's probably a down market for Mahomes right now with ending the season the way he did, tearing his ACL. So this might be one I hold on to maybe until next year once you know, football comes back. I'm not really sure. It depends, I guess, if I get a decent offer before that, but it was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, but again, I can't complain about a 10. Still a pretty decent value today if I did want to sell it. All right, next card here, we do have a Michael Jordan 96 Bowman's Best. We got a 9. This was a really clean looking copy. Nice to get a 10 on this one, but you know, a 9 isn't terrible. You know, you go in expecting 8s and 9s with Jordan stuff, so any 9s usually are pretty solid. That's a cool card. Shouldn't have a problem selling that one. Like I said, pretty decent value still in a 9. All right, next one here. I was actually a little surprised by this grade, to be honest, because the corners on the front and the back look amazing. And there's a hologram in here that looks amazing as well. We got the 92 Upper Deck Michael Jordan MVP holograms. This card is insanely low population, insanely high value, around $12,000 or $13,000 in a PSA 10. I think I paid like 20 bucks for it. Again, a really super clean looking copy. Got an 8. So I was definitely a little surprised. I thought I had a chance at maybe, you know, one of those higher end grades. But still really decent value, good profit in an 8. But I would have liked to have seen a higher grade in that. So I'm not 100% sure what the issue is with that. Doesn't look faded or anything. The hologram is clean. There's no scratches on it. So that might be one to take a look at and say, should I resubmit? Try to get a 9 on it? Maybe something a little higher. I don't know. So jury's out on that one. We'll see. I may just take what I can and sell it and still make some money. And just, you know, call it a day and get something else that I do want. All right, next one here. I've said this is one of my favorite cards to grade. This was such a great looking copy. PSA 8. This is still a really high value card in a PSA 8. And when I say high value, I mean good profitability. You can pick these up for around 50 bucks. Centering is always usually pretty bad on these. This one's not that bad, but it is off enough to drop it a grade. And then if you look on the back, the top edge is great, but the bottom edge does have some chipping. So I think that's probably what got it to an 8. But still, again, great value in an 8 on this one. So I'm not too I'm not too unhappy with that one. All right, next one here. This is a really tough card to gem as well, but man, I liked the way this copy looked. We got a Michael Jordan 1996 SPX Hollow View Heroes holographic card. So basically the entire front is holographic. We've got a 9 on that. That's good. Today's grading standards are just so much tougher. You know, I'm happy with a 9 on this. I would love to see a 10 on something like this, but I kind of go in knowing that it's going to be extremely hard to get that. Let's look at the back. The back edges look really clean as well. Sorry for the fingerprints all over. I'm trying not to do that. But yeah, nice clean edges around the back. But again, this in a 9, super nice card, good value still. So not complaining too much. Here's another non-Michael Jordan card. We got a Shaquille O'Neal, famous nicknames. One of my favorite sets. I actually pulled this card out of a pack on the channel a while back. I ripped about, I want to say like 19 packs of this 1993-94 Ultra. And this was the best card I got out of there, so I did submit it. I thought I had a chance at a 10 just because it was a fresh pull, so there's no surface issues. But we got a 9. There's still a little bit of value in a 9, but you really got to get a 10 on something like this to really maximize the return on it. So, but still a cool card. I love that famous nickname set. I did end up picking up a Michael Jordan in a PSA 10 by myself, purchasing it in a 10, and I've graded it a few times, and I've gotten a bunch of 9s and never gotten a 10. So I finally just pulled the trigger and bought the 10. So, all right, next one here, another cool Jordan 90s insert 97 Ultra Big Shots. Super cool looking card, textured. It's got a lot of edge. You know, a lot of you know, grooves on it, front and back. To get an 8 on this is probably pretty standard. Tough card to gem. I think I have a few more of these at PSA, but I'm still going to keep trying on this one. It's, you know, again, like I said, there's a lot going on this card, so you got to be careful and look at every groove. And, you know, you do see a little chipping usually on kind of some of the top and bottom edges. But this was a really good looking copy. Thought I had a nice shot at, you know, a higher grade. So PSA 8 isn't too bad. A PSA 9 gets you around $100, and that's easy profit right there. So an 8, I don't recall off the top of my head, but I'll put it up on the screen what the value is on that. But again, I think there's, you know, something decent in there. Similar card here on this next one, 1997 Skybox Z-Force Boss. Like I said, I had a PSA 7 before. This one did get an 8, so I did keep this one. Centering maybe is an issue, but this was a really clean copy. Again, a lot of textures going on this one. Super cool looking card. I love this card. I would love to have a, you know, PSA 10 copy of this. It's one I'm probably going to keep trying myself because it's one of those cards you can buy for, you know, 40, 50, 60 bucks. Try to get a 10 if you see a nice, super clean copy. Tons of value in a 9 to make some money, and then, you know, getting close to break even in an 8. So it gives you, a card like that gives you flexibility to keep trying. As long as the copy looks halfway decent, you should be good, you know, taking some chances, and, you know, maybe eventually you get a 10. If not, you make some money on the other stuff and then you buy a 10. That's kind of been my approach. So, all right, next one here. I think this is one of the best cards in the submission, and I'm super happy with this one. 1995 Flair PSA 10 Gem Mint. Super excited about this one. This is a pretty cheap card to buy, but man, tons of value around the $500 to $600 range in a PSA 10. These Flair cards are known for print lines. I picked this one up at a show from a guy who took really good care of his collection. I remember looking over this one. I think he had a whole bunch of these, and this is the only one I ended up buying. It just looked really good. Turns out it was. Such a nice looking card. I don't think this is one I'm going to keep in my collection. I know there's somebody who's interested in this one, and there's some other stuff I do want to buy. So I might kind of check out and take my profit on this one and buy something else. But again, such a cool card. Love the look of these Flair cards for sure. So that's a huge win, I would say, on that one. I would say call this another win. We got 1999 Upper Deck Retro PSA 10 J1. This came in a collection that I purchased recently. I didn't know a ton about this card, but I knew there was some decent value in a PSA 10, so somewhere in the $200 to $300 range. And it just looked really clean. Kind of a newer card, and in relation to you know, Michael Jordan, it being 99 is kind of on the newer side, even though it's still like almost 30 years old. Pretty cool one there though. Like I said, $200 to $300 value. Nice PSA 10. That's probably one I will be selling as well. Like I said, I've got a list of some PSA 10s I really want to go out and get. So, you know, selling this stuff really helps me get there. All right, next one here. This is a card I've had a lot of trouble with, but I'm actually kind of happy with this one. 1992 Ultra Award winner. I normally get like 6s and 7s on this for some reason. I don't know why. But this one got a 9, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think there's pretty decent value, and you can actually make some money in a 9 on this one. Like I said, I'll put up on the screen so you can see, but this one, if you can find these, you can pretty much get these for around 10 bucks. But you got to look closely at them. You know, a lot of cards from this era, 92, 93, have a lot of surface issues, and this one was pretty clean. I can't exactly remember where I got it, but that was a decent one. Oops, I'm mixing up my stacks here. We got to put my 8s over here. Get this back. So again, PSA 9 on that one. Not too bad. All right, next one here. This was a nice win as well. Michael Jordan 5th anniversary. Got the gold medallion on there. Whatever. It's not a gold medallion, but I don't know what else to call that. But this is the Hoops 5th anniversary with the gold label on it there. Not a super expensive card in a PSA 10, but this is the second time I've subbed this one, and I've gotten a 10 both times. This particular card in that hoop set was a little higher quality card stock than the regular base card. Probably to support that emblem there, but such a cool looking card though. It's definitely a little bit of, you know, one of those chase type cards. It's more rare than the regular one. You get one of these in every pack of that series, so the likelihood of getting a Michael Jordan in a box is pretty unlikely. So again, any PSA 10 for Michael Jordan is awesome. That's a cool looking one, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that wants to really add that to their collection. Next one here. Here's our second Penny Hardaway. We did get a 9 on this one. This is the one I was talking about earlier, how the offer PSA was giving me. It was right around the same price. I thought there was a lot more value in this, so I went ahead and just kept this one. I'll probably sell this at some point, but I'd rather hold this than take a, you know, $10 or $11 offer that PSA was giving me. 1993 Topps Gold rookie, you know, fairly rare gold version. Pretty cool card. So you'll see by the value on the screen, it's kind of still a loser in a 9, but you know, I think I'll find a buyer for that one at some point. Not in a huge rush to get rid of it, I'd say. All right, next one here, another huge win. We got a 1992 Topps Gold, number 205 PSA 10. You know, like I said, we had another Topps Gold in here. We got an 8 on that, but a 10 on this one. And I remember looking at this and I was like, this card looks great all the way around. The centering was almost perfect. So, you know, I definitely had high hopes for this. This is a fun set. At one point in time, I wanted to go after all the Topps Golds, but I kind of put the pause on that because I feel like those ones are going to be a little easier to get than some other ones. So I'm kind of taking my focus away, but I think this might be a set I go after at some point, but I may sell this one. Just again, so I can start chipping away at the list of Jordans that I'm really looking to buy and, you know, add those to the collection first and then circle back. But that is a sweet card in a 10 for sure. So we'll see. I may change my mind. Who knows? All right, next one here. Another really awesome looking card. Very similar to the Hollow View Heroes. We got a 9 on this as well. Just the 1996 SPX base card. Tough to even get a 9 in this, but man, I would love to have a 10. There's just some immense value in the PSA 10s of these, and these do actually sell raw for, you know, $30 to $50 just because the all the holograms on them. It's just such a cool card. People really like it. So if you're looking to take a chance on a card, this probably is not one that you do that on, because the upside gets pretty low once if you don't get a 10. But there are other cards out there that I think you can really achieve a little bit more upside in a 9 or even an 8 at the same price point as this one. But such a cool card. If you see a clean copy, grade it. Again, a 10 is a long shot, but this is pretty cool. I'm happy with a 9 on that one. And this case feels like really thin compared to the others, unless it's just something that in my brain. I don't know. But all right, we got 3 cards left. Next one here, pretty solid grade on this one. 95 Ultra Double, PSA 9. Still has a pretty decent value. And this is one you can pick up fairly cheap. You got to be careful with this one. A lot of edge issues potentially. Red edges all the way around the front and the back. And pretty easy to spot anything though. So I'm pretty happy with a 9 on this one. Like I said, I just don't expect any 10s going in on this stuff. And I try to find the cleanest copies I possibly can and hope for the best. But this one in a 9, like I said, got some decent value. There's a gold medallion version as well that's pretty cool. I would love to have that one, but this is just the regular one. Still close to $100, I think, raw in that one. All right, next one here. This was part of a collection I picked up. Super rare card. 1995 Finest Hot Stuff Jordan insert. I think the greening is what did this one. I did pull the peel on it. Great looking card. It was really super clean. Got it from a collection where, it was one owner and they took really good care of everything. I thought this had a chance at a higher grade, but I think the greening is just what did it. These cards, a lot of these older Finest cards, and the greening is just, it's hard to avoid. So, again, super cool card. Still around $100 value in a PSA 8. So it's, that's pretty awesome. Getting something like that, even in an 8, is great. So, cannot complain about that. It's not one I'm going to keep, but I think there's a collector out there that really want that one. So, all right, last card. Let's go out with a bang. We got another PSA 10, a 1990 Fleer, number 26. We got a 6 and a 10 in this order. I don't know. I can't explain it. But this is, I think, my second or third time getting a PSA 10 on this card. I think there is a really good value in this. This is like a $5 card, but high 2s to somewhere in the mid $300 value in a PSA 10 on this. So, kind of going back to that, SPX is, you probably have a better chance at getting this card in a PSA 10 than you do in that one in a 9. So again, if you really want to make, not necessarily make a business out of this, but if you want to make money and you want to build it up to where you can really buy some really awesome cards, take the chance on cards like that. Your odds are going to be a lot better. The gem rates aren't super high, but it's easy to find a centered copy of that. And if you can find a centered copy of that, you're pretty much in the realm of the 9-10 immediately, and then just check the other stuff like the surface. But for some reason, these typically don't have a ton of surface issues from what I've found. But look at them anyway. If you see scratches, obviously don't send it. But there's a lot of these copies out there. So, all right, that's the order. Like I said, it's great to have a reveal here finally. Feels like it's been forever. I'm very happy with this order. We got, what did we end up with? 6 gems in that order out of 23 cards. So our gem rate was in the high 20% range, which is great because it's, compared to the expected gem rate, which I'll throw up on the screen here. We outperformed. So, the way, like I said, I've said this before, the way I look at it is I look at all these cards, every specific card in this order. What is the historical gem rate on them? If it's 5% or if it's 50%, whatever it is, I take that and I average it out across all of them. And that's kind of my goal. I want to meet or exceed. Well, I really want to exceed that. So the way I kind of help myself exceed that is I find the best copies of each one of them. I don't let the gem rate scare me if it has a 2% gem rate or whatever it may be. I don't let that scare me. As long as the copy looks good, I go for it, because that just means there's that much more upside, even like a 9. So do not let that deter you. It kind of sucks sometimes to throw an order out there and get no 10s. But when you submit 90 stuff like this, I mean, that's a reality. That's a definite reality. But when you get 6 10s in an order, it tells you you're doing something right, and you've made progress, and you really know what to look for. So it's absolutely achievable. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So I am happy with this order. Thank you guys for joining me. Many more reveals, PSA pre-submissions, fun rips coming. You're probably seeing this right around the holidays, so happy holidays to everybody, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks.